Welcome to the third episode of the Birds with Guns podcast. I'm Eli.
I'm Andy.
And today we're going to be doing the penultimate World Cup episode in which we talk about the Premier League and the season, just everything that's gone on this season, only in the Premier League, because if we stretched ourselves out over all the leagues we watch, which is just one, I meant all the major leagues, we would have too much to cover and wouldn't be able to cover it all in 30 minutes. So
we'll dabble in other stuff
we'll throw in
in the episode
throw it
as
in
well.
around there, But so we're just gonna first we're gonna go over every team, give like a little overview of their season, and give them a grade on how it's gone. I think each of us will give a grade. So obviously, I think we should start at the top of the table and go down. First, Man City. What would you give them?
They won the league.
They won the league. What would you give that?
Probably an A.
Not an A plus.
Are we doing pluses?
Yeah. Oh, we're doing pluses.
All right,
and
I
minuses.
guess it would be an A plus then.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, they were good.
They scored the most goals in the league. They scored, I think, actually, Liverpool scored the second most, and Man City scored 22 more goals than Liverpool did.
Yeah, they broke the record for points in a season.
100 points.
Not wins in a season.
Wins in a season.
Points in a season.
The 100 points is that's a few. That's a lot of points.
They're the Centurions now, right?
Yeah.
So now there's two nicknames: Centurions and the Invincibles. Anyway, let's just keep going.
There's just one.
Second place, Manchester.
Wait, I didn't get to give my grade.
Okay, go.
A plus. All right, second place, Man U. This is a tougher one to grade. A lot tougher than Man City.
Well, their fans were just so pessimistic all season. You feel inclined to give them a worse grade than.
Well, I think with the people they brought in, I think they were aiming to win a title, and they didn't. And they didn't by a lot, I would add. And they also lost to Man City. So you have to take all of that into account when you're grading their season. Grade their season for them. Don't grade it like objectively, I guess.
You can think people were expecting a lot with Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez coming in, and even in Matic, though some people don't know him as well, but he's an incredible player, and so lots of Manchester United fans were excited because it was the second Mourinho season. He always wins in his second season, right? But he didn't. And
to be fair, without City being like amazing like they were this season, with like a normal Premier League season, Man U probably would have won or at least challenged pretty seriously for the title because they picked up 81 points. That's a lot.
Leicester won the title at 80.
Yeah, so it's not a bad season. What would you give it as a grade?
For United,
yeah,
probably a B minus.
I would say B plus because I think the way Mourinho builds teams, I don't think this team should have actually probably finished second because the thing he brought in a lot of players for a lot of value, but almost all those players played pretty poorly. At least Lukaku did not play poorly, but he was poor at stretches and didn't show up very much in big games. Pogba was pretty bad most of the season. He wasn't bad. He just was not Pogba good. He wasn't.
He wasn't as good as at Juve, but he had some solid stints of play.
Yeah, he did.
You can't say it was. I don't think you can say it was bad.
He was bad for how much he cost. He was bad for how much he cost. That's hard to.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I go B plus for Man U though. Yeah. For Tottenham finishing third.
That's I feel like they should be happy with that.
They have no depth. Have you looked at their team? They have no depth. Their bench is really bad.
Well, that's what the summer's for.
Yeah.
They got what's his name, Lucas from PSG.
He didn't play at all.
He is a bench player.
Yeah, but yeah, they were. I would give Tottenham probably an A minus. I think they overperformed honestly.
Yeah.
They did really well. Their defense was pretty strong the entire season, despite missing out on. They have the third best defense in the league. Despite missing out on, Alderweireld, who else? Danny Rose was not injured, but
when he came back, he was pretty awful.
Yeah, whatever.
So
yeah, they were good. They were very good. Liverpool finishing fourth. It's good.
I mean, Liverpool were really fun.
Yeah, they scored the second most goals in the league by a good bit. They were 10 goals over Arsenal and Man U or Tottenham with 74.
Yeah, and I mean their defense wasn't terrible.
No,
right?
it wasn't.
It was decent.
It was bad in big games.
Compared to Arsenal, at least, you know, it was.
That's not a fair measure, though.
It was solid. You know, people like to joke about them having clowns as defenders, but I mean, you got to give. First of all, I think Dejan Lovren should get some credit this season because he's had, compared to what people thought he used to be, he's had a really good season.
Yeah.
If you watch Liverpool play, and then there's Andy Robertson, who's been totally insane for somebody just popping up out of Hull City.
He was unemployed 5 years ago.
Whatever, but the you know, the fact is that he was on the relegated team last year, and now he's one of the best defenders this season. Yeah. I mean,
not that there were too many great defenders in the Premier League this season.
No.
Yeah, but fifth place Chelsea.
Well, we have to rate them.
What'd you rate Liverpool?
Did you rate it?
I would give them a B.
B?
I think they expected more than the fourth place.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think things were a little uncertain going into the season.
They should have done better in Tottenham, and their quality of their team.
That's probably true. But they got all their transfers didn't seem to work out.
You even mentioned Salah.
So
I mean, obviously that was a fantastic.
That's an insane transfer, and then Robertson was a great transfer. Van Dijk seemed to work out.
Yeah.
Nothing more than expected really for him, but
yeah,
I probably would give it an A.
I stick with B because I think they expected more and probably should have gotten more.
Yeah.
I think they should have at least finished third. Chelsea in fifth. They had a bad season.
That's like a solid C there.
Yeah, I would
for Chelsea.
C for Chelsea. I'll give them a C plus because I think that the team was struggling a lot at the end of the season with issues with their manager. They were losing faith in their manager. Conte was on the outs with a lot of players. Yeah, Morata was an awful transfer, but that's not really Chelsea's fault for knowing that he would be that bad when he came to the Premier League, honestly.
They're the only people you can blame for it.
Him?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's not his fault. He's crap.
Oh, yeah, it is. But I'd say C plus for Chelsea. I mean, it's not the worst season.
I mean, their worst season
is below what they would
I guess
expect.
They could have finished ninth, 2 seasons ago, but I still give them a solid C.
Well, that ninth was like a D minus.
I mean, talk about a shitty title defense.
Oh, yeah, that's an awful title defense.
They did it worse before, but it's still pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, speaking of title defenses, well, that doesn't actually make any sense, but Arsenal
haven't won.
The opposite of title defenses.
Arsenal finished 6th.
I'm an Arsenal
not
fan.
Incredible. Not incredible.
Not wearing a jersey today. But
their lowest finish
in
winger time.
Over 20 years, 23, 25 years, something like that. I would say C minus, D, maybe D plus. I'll go with the D plus. We were bad the whole season. We were actually shockingly bad defensively. We conceded 51 goals defensively, which is 12 more than Burnley conceded. I know Burnley have a great defense, but that's pitiful.
Yeah.
That's really pitiful. It's sad. And I mean, we did score a lot of goals, which is kind of been what we've been for the last couple of years. This is just like the epitome of Arsenal. Yeah, we were bad. D plus. It was a bad season.
I give him a C. You know, I mean, given my scale here, if Chelsea got a C, Arsenal got a C, because I mean, Aubameyang was a nice bright spot in the season and kind of gave it a little bit of a kick.
Was awful. It was a waste of time.
I mean, and Lacazette was pretty awful to start off, but I mean, he kind of kicked off at the end a little bit, and but you know, Arsenal fans are right to be very disappointed.
Yeah. It was bad. I don't even know who to blame at this point. I don't know if to blame Kroenke or Wenger or.
I don't think it is necessary to blame. Just look forward. New manager. Yeah. New era.
Unai Emery. That just tells you when we're recording this.
Right.
That was like a few days ago. Burnley in 7th, obviously.
That's an A plus.
That's an A plus. Yeah. That's as good of a season as Man City in terms of what they could have done.
Yeah. Sean Dyche is a wizard.
They only conceded one more goal than the defenses of Liverpool and Chelsea, and only three more than Tottenham's defense did. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, to be fair, they actually did have a negative goal difference at -3 because they only scored 36 goals, which is that's in the bottom 5 in the league. Let's just say that.
Yeah, we scored more goals than them.
Yeah, but obviously Sean Dyche needs to look to bring in attacking pieces in the summer. They brought in Nkudu, right? Was that on loan?
That was on loan. He was a total disaster.
Yeah, he was awful.
But it didn't matter because they had Goodmanson, who was
he was good. He wasn't a goal scorer though, really. He was more of a string puller.
He had 10 assists. That's pretty solid for.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, given how many goals they scored what 36 goals. So he assisted almost a third of, between a third and a fourth of their goals.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is pretty wild. And he put in a few of his own.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've got Vokes, Barnes, and Wood up front.
Ashley Barnes had a good season. Ashley Barnes
had
scored 11 goals or something like that.
Yeah, but he's not the kind of guy you can expect to score goals day in and day out. Yeah. He's just had a few good spurts. But definitely an A++ for their season. Hopefully they can get in a good striker and maybe a deliverer in midfield.
Yeah.
And start scoring goals next season, but we'll see how that goes because we don't know if Dyche's system can handle that. Handle. If we don't know if Dyche's system can really handle that.
System handle that? We don't know.
We don't know.
We may know. We will know next year.
Great mysteries.
Anyways, moving down to 8th place, we got Everton FC. They had a horrible start, in case anyone remembers that, to the beginning of the season. They were in the relegation zone for a good bit. They recovered amazingly with
the help of Wayne Rooney.
Allardyce.
Anyway, they brought in Big Sam, and
Sam Allardyce is such a good manager.
He got him out of the relegation zone, so
and
that's
he
good.
moved them way up the table.
But in the end, it wasn't enough for Everton fans, and
of course it's not. Everton fans are somewhat annoying.
Flushed him
in terms of bottom table fans, Everton fans are pretty annoying. They're not bottom table, are they? They don't really count. They're mid table, aren't they?
I'm alright with Everton fans.
I'm the least alright with Everton fans as I could be with some fans outside of the top 6.
Anyway, Everton had a crap season.
Newcastle fans.
Everton had a crap season. I give it a B-. They ended up back in 8th, which, I mean, it's not terrible.
I agree with that. I'd say B- is fair. So 9th place was, of course, Leicester. I feel like they're probably just going to settle into sort of an Everton kind of groove where they're finishing mid-table pretty much every year, maybe upper mid-table.
They've got the money. They should really spend on some...
They bought Adrian Silva.
players,
I did watch it. I watched him play against Arsenal in the last week because I didn't really get to see very many Leicester games. He looked pretty good.
Yeah.
He was a very good shooter.
Mahrez had a really off season, unfortunately.
Even though City still want to pay $70 million for him. I don't like Mahrez. At this point, I'm done with Mahrez. I hope he leaves.
Jamie Vardy had another quality season.
What do you have, 20?
I don't know, 20. I thought it was like 24 or something like that. But anyway, he had a quality season.
They scored 56 goals and conceded 60, which is also in the bottom 5. It's the bottom 5 in the league. So their defense probably needs some improvements. Harry Maguire was a great transfer.
Yeah,
he's going to the World Cup, right?
Yeah, he's one of those center backs who can play balls forward, which is always nice to have.
I remember Leicester played Arsenal first game. He had a great volley.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of center backs in the Premier League that can really do that. You've got John Stones, right? He can play the ball forward.
I mean,
like that.
basically everyone on Man City, basically every defender on Man City is like that.
Not Company. But anyway.
Oh my God,
Leicester. They won the title 2 seasons ago, but we know that was an anomaly. So I think you can give this season an A-.
I'm gonna go B. Yeah. I think they could get the quality of their team. They should probably be getting better than 9th place.
Yeah, I mean, the Leicester did have it. Their end of the season was bad.
Yeah, it was very
really bad.
Yeah,
really awful. We beat them in our 4 or 5 game winning streak at the end of the season. So or no, we went on a 5 game losing streak. Don't listen to me. Anyway,
Really knows a lot about Newcastle.
You know, it's been a while.
Well, speaking of
since the season
that loss to Newcastle.
Oh, 10th place.
10th
Newcastle
place,
United.
top 10.
Highest finish since 2011-12.
Unnecessarily pessimistic.
And
as always.
it's the best way to go because we didn't get relegated.
Well, that way you can't be disappointed, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, they brought in a few players that helped some. Otherwise, their team they had together already was pretty good. Dubravka was helpful in this season.
Dubravka and Kennedy were basically the best loans we could have made. Marino was solid early season, kind of fell off at the end, had a bad back injury.
We're gonna talk about transfers though, so we might as well just award them a grade.
Anyway,
I would give them an A.
I give it an A.
Finishing
Definitely.
top 10 in a promotion season is
not what I was expecting by a long shot.
expectations.
So I'm very happy.
Now to my bottom half team, Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace, that's an A. That's an A.
A?
Verging on A plus even. I mean, what? What can you expect?
Okay, here we go. Here's what I have to say about Crystal Palace. If you're starting from game 9,
just cut it at game week 7 and you're good.
I think it was
they won a 7-game no scoring streak.
7 games, no scoring, all losses.
And then they finished 9th in goals overall for the Premier League, or 6th or something like that. USA just scored.
Who scored? Oh, we'll
anyway,
find out.
keep talking.
But yeah, if you don't think about where they were starting from after that 8-game losing streak, or 7-game, I keep saying 8. If you think about where they were at that point, then it's an A season. But if you're thinking about the entire season as a whole, if you think about the fact that they could do that with that horrible form at the beginning of those 7 games, think about if they had picked up 7 points from those games, they would have finished 8th.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say a B, but I think they have the potential to do better if. And this is actually amazing that they finished that high because they really do not have.
Well, it was a hell of a tight table down there.
You're a member of that tight table.
If they no, I know I'm saying, but if they lost the game, they'd be down in whatever, 14th, 15th, or something like that.
It was a good season.
Yeah,
it was a good season. They climbed out of the relegation zone. It was fun to watch.
No, I think
Zaha's one of the best players in the Premier League.
I think if you look at the roster that Palace has, that's why I give them an A. You know, because they're not deep and they've got just like who.
They've got some.
Brought
in good players.
I mean, they've got they've got like Zaha and Loftus-Cheek was really good for their season.
Milivojevic was very good.
But I mean, you don't look at their squad and say that's like a quality Premier League squad. Yeah. So it's really impressive.
You think bottom half? You think like lower mid table, but probably bottom half when you see that team. But anyway, so moving on down to another
pause. Goal scored by Walker Zimmerman.
Oh, he's a center back.
Center back for the United States. The U.S. is playing Bolivia right now.
Yeah, that tells you when we were recording this.
So we'll be watching the second half of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep going.
So moving down to another team that's probably established himself in the Premier League. Also, another thing to note about Crystal Palace is that this is their I think 3rd consecutive season, maybe 4th in the Premier League.
I don't know.
They're starting to establish themselves, which is
4th
nice.
at least.
Yeah, but Bournemouth are definitely establishing themselves as a Premier League side. It's pretty incredible what they've done, honestly. 12th place. I mean, I know my dad's a Bournemouth fan, which is barely a Bournemouth fan, but
still a dirty text, like does like whatever smack talk over text with me whenever Newcastle plays them.
Yeah.
Good luck. Not.
It's really good stuff. Yeah, I mean they had a good season. I would give them probably a B. I'd say I give them a B. They could do better. They can't really do better. I'm wrong.
I mean,
I'd give them an A.
Look at their team.
I give them an A. Eddie Howe is a really good
a bunch of Englishmen. None of them are anywhere close to the national team except for maybe Lewis Cook, who's an alternate for the World Cup.
Yeah. He had a really good season, actually.
You know, Defoe was really handy for them. Callum Wilson is the most inconsistent player to ever walk the earth.
That goal he scored against Crystal Palace, the volley over Hennessy.
I missed that.
That was a freaking blinder.
Anyway,
that was a great goal.
They've got a few solid players, but really it's impressive that this team has gotten that high up.
Yeah,
you know,
I give them an A, not an A plus, but that's an A.
Yeah,
now we're getting into the territory of teams that it's going to be hard for them to get over a B. It's actually impossible. West Ham in 13th. They brought in a lot of players over the summer.
I think considering where they finished last season, you can mark them down to at most a C.
I would give West Ham a D. They brought in a lot of big money players. Arnautovic was horrible for the first half of the season. He was good at the end.
He brought it later on. I think made up for whatever happened earlier.
Yeah.
They were unlucky with Lanzini having a bad injury. He would have brought a lot more to the team, but
just screwing them for no reason. Also.
Yeah, I mean he'd kind of fallen off in the really anyway. But I think that I'd probably give him a C or C minus. I don't know about a D, but like it's pretty bad.
I give him a D plus.
C, yeah.
They had one of the worst seasons of any team in the Premier League. I don't think it's hard to argue that. Like considering what they were expecting, I would think 13th is pretty bad for.
Well, really, West Ham fans weren't expecting much, but we all us uninformed people were like, Zabaleta, Joe Hart, top 10.
I mean, I didn't think they were amazing, but I thought Zabaleta played okay this season.
Yeah.
Joe Hart was bad. He was really bad. He got replaced by Adrian a couple of times, I know, in the starting lineup just from that. But yeah, let's move on down to the other W team in the Premier League, Watford.
Watford had a great start to the season. With Richarlison breaking onto the scene, you got a booger. And Doucouré and so they had a great start and then they just plummeted.
Yeah.
Marco Silva left. Marco Silva was a part of the plummet, but they just fell off completely. The beginning of the season was an A+, but by the end, it's probably like a C.
I mean,
they usually finish around there anyway, but like
if you give them the Crystal Palace treatment and grade them after the first 10 games or so, you would say that they probably had a D season, but overall, it's probably a C.
Yeah.
The Premier League season is a 38-game season, not a 28-game season, so it's probably a D or a C. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean they brought in some people as well. Richarlison was a great transfer.
At the beginning,
he fell off horribly, but I mean, given he's not 20 years old, I mean it's pretty impressive. They brought in Will Hughes.
He was really good when he was playing.
Very good. We'll talk about the transfers later.
Yeah, we should probably talk less about transfers. Promoted teams now. Brighton, fine. I don't think there's really too much to say about their season.
It's a solid B.
It's a B. It's above. Most people expected them to go back down, and they did not comfortably stay up, but they were decent. They got to 40 points, which is what you want. 16th, Huddersfield.
I'd give that an A minus. I mean, their team is just crap.
Yeah, their team is really bad. They have no one good basically.
They're pretty ugly to watch. I mean, I like watching them, I guess, but like
they really like their mascot.
What's their mascot?
Terriers.
Anyway, they were fine.
They were okay.
They stayed up, which is more than anybody expected.
I would
say a team that they finished the championship season with the negative goal differential.
I would say slightly above average. I'd go like a B minus for them. But it's not like you can't really give it. I don't think you can give it B.
I mean, I'm thinking I'm thinking like relative to what was expected. I would give it a B plus.
I go B minus, but we have to differ in some places. So 17th, Southampton. This is probably the second worst season of any team in the Premier League. Honestly, if we're being honest, I mean, I know they get bought out by Liverpool every year, but they brought in a lot of players. Actually, they brought in Gabbiadini last year, who played well in that second half of the season. They thought was going to be good this year and was awful. They brought in Lamina, who was awful. They were starting.
He wasn't awful.
He was pretty bad, but he wasn't good. And I just think they should have done a lot better. I would give them a D. I think they were bad.
Yeah, well,
36 points is a really bad total for.
I guess given expectations, you can probably mark them down for a C minus.
Yeah. So moving on to the relegated teams, Swansea. I mean, they've been flirting with going down for so long.
Yeah, and Siggy kept him up last year almost single-handedly. Yeah. So it was coming.
Yeah, I mean, I would give them a C.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I can't give them too bad of a grade for getting relegated when they really didn't have too much of a chance, I think, at surviving. 19th, here's the worst season by far in the Premier League.
Stoke City.
So bad. That's an F. That is a straight F.
That's a solid F.
That's a straight F. You could not imagine a worse season. I mean, conceding 68 goals in the league, they conceded the most goals other than West Ham. West Ham also conceded 68. So, I mean, it's awful. Just, like, awful. They were so bad the entire season.
Yeah.
I remember consistently seeing in scorelines, you would see Stoke City losing 3-4, 5-0. That would be when they were playing City.
Yeah,
But
it's somewhat of a shame. I mean, they made a lot of mistakes over the course of the season. I didn't think that Mark Hughes really should have gone because there was really a chance of them staying up with him. But you know, who knows what happens when you get rid of a manager who's been with you for such a long time.
Yeah.
And now he's at Southampton, so he's happy. But Shaqiri was the bright spot in their team. That's really
He'll be gone.
It's really it. I mean, and you know, you can't love his attitude, but whatever.
They'll be gone. Then you have the last W team in the Premier League, West Brom.
West Bromwich Albion.
Who expected them to stay up?
Well, I mean, they finished 10th last year.
But that
People
was
forget that.
That was like a fluke, basically.
Finished 10th last year, which was crazy, and I mean, I wasn't expecting them to go down necessarily, but after a couple weeks of the season, you know,
you watch them play, you
they
were
were
like,
bad.
This is a team.
They
That's
were
going
really
down.
awful.
They did peak up at the end of the season. They, you know, found their next manager. He was actually their assistant manager, Darren Moore. But yeah, they were.
No, I think is another F.
I would give them a D. I don't think it's a straight F because I don't think anyone expected them to do particularly well, and they did have a good end of the season. They fought, which is shocking. They were doing really bad.
I mean, if you compare them to where Stoke was last season, they were in about the same spot, and
yeah, but how they performed last season is not the same thing as the quality of their team. I think
that's true. But they brought in what's his name, Kuchowiak from PSG.
He was awful.
And that didn't really work out for him.
Yeah. They were bad. I would give them a D, but not an F. I don't think they deserve a failing grade.
I'll take an F for them.
Yeah. Managers, all of them left. I think the relegated teams except for West Brom. Carvalho left Swansea. Don't remember where he went, but
I think he just left. I don't think he's anywhere.
Yeah. So anyway, now that we've reviewed the Premier League, I think we should go through and review the transfers, the top transfers. So we're going to go team by team here. This is going to be a little bit of a long episode. We will probably go 40 minutes plus on this one, even though we were actually within like 30 seconds of the first one on the second episode. I saw that. That was pretty wild.
Wild and crazy.
It's insane. Man City brought in Bernardo Silva. I'll just list off the players they brought in. Everyone they brought in was a major player. They brought in Bernardo Silva, Ederson, Kyle Walker,
let's go one by one. Just
Danilo,
name them, we'll say a thing.
Benjamin Mendy,
Right.
Laporte.
Okay, so Bernardo Silva, I mean, I don't think anyone expected him to really break into the first team.
He was actually there. He was £43 million, so I would give him a C. He wasn't good.
I'm not gonna give ratings to this, too much to think about, but
Okay.
but he, you know,
that's fair.
I wasn't. He was fine. When he played, he was good.
Yeah.
So I just think his failure is just an effect of having such a deep City team.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with him. Ederson was very good for City. I think that's all that needs to be said. Kyle Walker was amazing, probably one of the best defenders in the Premier League. Danilo was fine. He was serviceable. He was not expensive at all for these players, so he did his job. Mendy was very good before he tore his ACL, and he played well when he came back to that very end of the season. Laporte was constricted. He was constricted because he was forced to play back.
He also had limited minutes, but I wasn't impressed.
He played okay. I would say Laporte is a quality center back. He'll play well when he's allowed to play center back, his actual position. But yeah, moving on to Man U.
Kaku.
They brought in Lindelof.
Lindelof was a total flop.
he wasn't a flop. But he just wasn't ready. I just don't think he was ready to play.
He sucked. He was really bad. Anyway,
I don't think he was ready to play.
Maybe that's true, but
Lukaku was decent. He didn't show up in big games, but he played well the rest of the season. You can't really say too much about Lukaku at this point. Everyone has talked about how he doesn't show up in big games and whatever, so it's kind of beating a dead horse. So yeah, Matic was fine.
Matic was good. I mean, he's didn't seem to be rattled by changing teams. He's basically the same player as last season.
Yeah. Ibra, they brought in, didn't play really at all. That's pointless. Alexis Sanchez was bad for them, which is actually fantastic for me as an Arsenal fan. That made me so happy.
Really crap. He had 2 good games at the end of the season, but that's it.
He's my favorite player. He was my favorite player, and the way he left Arsenal made me so mad, and I hated him so much.
Next team.
So I'm glad he failed. He sucks.
Liverpool.
Salah. Can you really say that much about him? He was 37 million, and he's probably worth like 100 million now, something like that. That's a fantastic transfer. Brought in Solanke from.
Solanke. I mean, he was good. When he played, he was good. He scored a couple goals.
He was free too. So
it was really a sub. He was like actually a usable sub for Liverpool. So I was kind of impressive. For free, honestly. I honestly didn't really know who he was. Just that he was at the. Whatever U20 World Cup.
Andrew Robertson, obviously a fantastic transfer. He played extremely well.
That was amazing.
Oxlade-Chamberlain was
8 million. Jeez.
Was
Ox played fine
at some points. And some points he was also non-existent.
Yeah, just the same old Ox. Right?
Van Dijk was obviously amazing for them in the short period of the season that he was healthy to play. Yeah. Tottenham, Davinson Sanchez was really good. I think. I saw him play.
I watched very few Tottenham games, so I can't say a lot about that.
Very athletic player. He's a good ball winner. They brought in some flops. So they brought in Gazzaniga from Southampton, who was useless.
Well, I mean,
he's a goalkeeper, but he played.
They played him one game, and he kept a clean sheet. I mean, whatever. What else?
Let's just say wash for him.
He was fine.
They brought in Foyth.
He didn't play, right?
He didn't play at all, so nothing. Serge Aurier was good.
Aurier was good.
Lorente was flop, but
Lorente they used him when they needed to. I mean,
but he only cost 12 million, so you can't really be too upset. Lucas Moura, I feel like 25 million may have been too expensive for him.
Yeah, that's a little confusing. That transfer in general is a little confusing to me because I didn't really play him, and then he just kind of sat there.
I think the whole thing was that Pochettino didn't see it. He was able to play.
Sorry about that. We had an interruption. Yeah. Anyway, continuing.
Yeah.
Interruption. Continuing. You won't even see the first interruption, but
you got Chelsea. Willy Caballero actually played really well for them in the few games he played.
He was helpful when Courtois was out.
Yeah. Rudiger was acceptable, and I believe. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I got distracted. Yeah.
Okay.
Rudiger was. Not great. He was okay.
Bakayoko was not good.
Bad. Very bad.
Murata was horrible.
Murata was bad. Zappacosta
played fine.
He played fine. He was a role player.
He's young.
Yeah, he's a tool.
Wait, no, he's not young.
He's not young.
Whatever.
He's just a guy they can bring on and help them. Danny Drinkwater, I don't really know why they bought him. That was kind of confusing to me.
For depth, I guess.
But he cost them 30. He was their third most expensive transfer.
He was as expensive as Conte. More expensive, actually.
It didn't really make too much sense.
And wait, what about Barkley?
Barkley.
Barkley.
Yeah, they brought in Barkley.
He was kind of unfortunate.
He was. I mean, he needed to get out of Everton, but that was a little bit weird. That was where he went. They also got Palmieri from Roma. Right. He didn't play very much.
So like 2 games.
It's hard to say anything. They got Giroud, who was.
That was a great transfer.
Fantastic.
But better for Arsenal. Because they got Aubameyang out of the whole exchange.
Yeah, but I wish we could have gotten him without losing.
It's okay. You got Aubameyang, so just be happy with that.
Thanks for patting me.
You're welcome. I had to calm you down. That's how it works.
Kolasinac for Arsenal.
He was good at the beginning.
And then he just kind of disappeared. I don't know if it was really his fault, but he just.
I know he got squeezed out because he can't play because they're playing 4 in the back and he's not built for 4 in the back or something.
I don't know. he was okay. Whatever. Lacazette was bad. I don't really feel like discussing how he was because he was bad, and I've complained about him in the first 2 episodes. So yeah, Mavropanos was actually Mavropanos. I don't actually.
He got a
know how to
red
pronounce
card.
it. He did get a red card, but he played really well.
In the first 15 minutes of that game?
He played well. He started like at least 6 games at the end of the season.
Oh, really?
5 or 6, something like that. He played really well in those games. Mkhitaryan, useless. Like, I would have rather gotten money for Alexis Sanchez.
He had
than
a
him.
few good games
No,
at
he
the
didn't.
start.
Not really.
Sure he did.
He played okay.
He
At the
got like a
beginning.
hat trick of assists or something in one of the
He
games.
was useless. We might as well just sell him. He's probably worth nothing at this point, though. Aubameyang was fantastic. You can't really argue with that. He scored enough goals to score something like 25 over the course of the season if he had played every game.
I don't know, but he was good.
Yeah.
He was really good.
He's fantastic. Now you've got Burnley. Burnley brought in a lot of players, didn't really use most of them. We'll skip over
Brought in
them.
Chris Wood was a good transfer.
Chris
though.
Wood was a very good transfer. They also brought in Naki Wells, who played okay in the games he played, I think.
I didn't even know if he got minutes at all.
I think he did. Jack Cork played really well for them.
That's true. He
And
was good.
so Phil Bardsley was also good for them, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, but he was good. You can't deny that he was good. And Aaron Lennon was okay for them, too. So, I mean, there's really not much to say about Burnley transfers. They were basically all good because Burnley had a good season.
It was kind of handy that the Tarkowski got into the team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everton,
season.
they brought in a shit ton of
Davy,
players.
Klaassen, flop. Rooney, we disagree on this, but
Flop.
he was good.
No. Pickford, good.
Sigurdsson.
Pickford was really good.
Pickford was great. Sigurdsson was good considering he was being abused position-wise.
Keane was terrible.
Being played out wide. Yeah, Keane was pretty bad. Cuco Martina is probably one of the worst defenders in the Premier League.
He was free.
He's a sight to see.
Do you remember that outside of the foot goal he scored against
Yes!
Arsenal a few years ago? Oh, that was freaking amazing.
That was wild.
Yeah, I mean, you got Vlasic, who is okay. You got Tosin, who
He's been there for a few seasons, hasn't he?
No, he got brought in from Hajduk Split this
Guess
season. Tosin was good in the half season. He was
Vlasic.
picked up at the end. And then Theo Walcott was actually good for them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Makes me sad.
Scored against us.
Leicester brought in Harry Maguire, probably one of the best transfers of the season, I would
That was
say.
really good.
He was fantastic. He's a ball-playing center back. which is good.
Vicente Iborra was
Not good.
I don't remember.
He was a waste of time. He got forced out of the starting lineup pretty quickly. I think he might have left. No. Jakupovic didn't play much, but he played well. I saw one game that he played it, and he had a few good saves. Iheanacho was a flop. This was supposed to be his big year. He got out of City and finally got significant minutes, and he went to a club that had probably the best striker outside the top 6, which didn't really make sense, but
This is better than being at City. at
whatever,
least.
yeah.
But-
You got Adrian Silva, who I saw play, was very good. And you've got Diabate. I mean,
He was
Diabate was good.
Not against us.
Do you know how much he costed?
No.
$2 million.
Yeah. I mean, he looked pretty awful against us. Let me say that.
He's worth it.
But best player, underrated player for them this season was Wolf Ndidi.
Ndidi, yeah, he's very good. But that was, I believe, not this season. They brought him in.
Yeah. There's just a stat popped up somewhere that he had the most successful tackles of anybody
Just like
in the
Conte.
Premier League. So
Yeah, Leicester breeds
there you
defensive
go.
men.
Apparently they do, even though Mendy failed.
So Newcastle, I mean, they had a pretty good transfer season. Atsu, obviously good.
Atsu came in last season.
Well-
We bought him for He's
bought
been
him
he's
this
been at
season.
Newcastle for 2 seasons, but we bought him this season. Yeah,
He's good.
he was helpful.
Yeah, you can't really talk about
I
him.
like him.
Lejeune.
Lejeune was
Lejeune, I
great.
don't know how to
Lejeune had trouble getting into the team, but once he got into the team, he was great. He's one of and I said that earlier, but he is one of the players, one of the center backs who can bring the ball forward.
Yeah,
and it's
that's for
really
sure.
it's really nice.
Jacob Murphy.
Jacob
Most
Murphy.
expensive transfer, probably the worst transfer they had on.
That's really-
Well, actually, there's a certain J name which
Right.
comes
So
to
Jacob
mind.
Murphy and Joselu, I mean, you can't really group them together. Hossa was just really awful, but I mean, given we only paid $5.5 million, I can't be that mad money wise about it. But
you can be mad about how bad he was. Not worth anything. He might as well have been free.
I suppose, but Jacob Murphy, it's just unfortunate he's not a Premier League player, and he doesn't belong here.
You gotta take some gambles on young players like him sometimes. It's not horrible. He'll turn into a decent role player if he stays at Newcastle.
Anyway,
a bench player probably.
Mankio was bad. He's a bad player. He's not a good defender. He's not a good attacker. There's nothing good about Mankio.
You've really got nothing. Yeah, there's really nothing else to say.
He came out of Sunderland. What do you expect?
Mikel Merino.
Mikel Merino was very solid first half of the season. Had a back injury. Had trouble getting back into the team just because Shelby and Diame both had such amazing second halves to the season, and we stopped playing defensively. Really, I mean, we got rid of. I mean, Hayden and Marino used to start alongside each other, and Rafa totally changed our mentality.
It worked.
So
it worked eventually. So whatever. They actually it was the first club that actually had like some major loan players. Mikel Marino, believe probably gonna purchase.
We bought him.
Yeah, he's been purchased.
Dubravka is basically bought. He's like in an agreement to be bought.
He's
Dubravka,
fantastic.
Thank Christ for Dubravka. We probably would have been a lot more nervous at the end of the season if he had not been there to seal off our 1-0 victory over Manchester United in his first game. He had like six saves. Two of them were
we watched
insane.
That together, I'm pretty sure it was a great game.
Kennedy, I didn't really know. I mean, I knew of him, but like I thought he was like a left back, and he comes in at left wing, and suddenly he's making great passes.
By the way,
flying crosses into the box.
I would like to say I'm representing Newcastle today.
The mic's in the way, but it says DeAndre.
It says DeAndre.
It says Yedlin.
Sorry about that. It doesn't say DeAndre Yedlin.
Yedlin. Once I saw Mankio play, I realized how great Yedlin is. He's a great player.
Yeah.
It's nice to have him.
So you got Crystal Palace next. They didn't do what they didn't play. They didn't have bad transfers, but they didn't do what they needed to do. They brought in Jairo Riedewald, who was supposed to be really good and was not awful, but not great either. But he was $8 million, and he's a good player for the future. He didn't have a bad season. Sacco probably saved the team in a lot of the games at the end of the season. He was a fantastic defender. That was a great transfer. Sorloth played. He looked really good in the games he played.
He got me some fantasy points.
Yeah.
So.
And then they brought in Diego Cavalieri and Jock, neither of which are huge players. But loans in, they had some pretty big loans in. They had Loftus-Cheek, who's before he got hurt, and he actually came back before the end of the season, which was pretty amazing. He was great before he got hurt. He was fantastic.
I hope he leaves Chelsea because he's never gonna get to play there, and he looks like he could be a really good player. Mm-hmm. He's 20, 21? Or is he 22?
He's a little older, I think.
Anyway, he's young. He's still young and he's good.
Yeah.
Fosu Mensah
was decent when he played.
Solid.
He got forced out of the team by Wan-Bissaka at the end of the season, so
I thought he was injured.
No. He got forced out. And then we brought in Rakip from Benfica. He didn't play really at all. So yeah, moving on to Bournemouth. You got Ake. Probably established himself as one of the best young defenders in the Premier League.
He's great.
Begovic was he actually made a lot of mistakes, I believe, for them, didn't he?
Begovic?
I believe he had a pretty poor season.
Yeah, whatever.
But they also brought in Jermaine Defoe, who we spoke on earlier, scored that great goal. He was fine.
He's a wild man.
Yeah, they didn't bring any loans in really.
Ake got to score against his old club, Chelsea, in the 3-0 victory, so felt good for him there.
Yeah.
Getting to beat them at Stamford Bridge.
So next you got not Man City.
West Ham.
West Ham. I had to say Man City. Zabaleta was free. Obviously, that for the value, that's fantastic. That's about as good of a value for a free player as you can get, probably.
Then they had Hart on loan, which was bad.
Hart on loan. Arnautovic was good though. $20 million for him. It's a pretty good price.
That was good. I don't know what Stoke was doing there.
Chicharito was god awful.
He
had a decent start, but he was bad after that.
He had a few flashes of good, but
they brought in Evra too. I don't think he played at all.
No, he did. He played a few games.
He did.
He was decent. He was good.
They brought Yao Mario too, who was very good.
Yeah,
He
Yao
probably
Mario,
instrumental at saving.
He was
them
good.
at the
Got
end
me
of the
some
season.
fantasy points. He was very good.
That makes him good if he.
I mean, that's how I know that he played well.
So next, moving on to 14th place, you got Watford. Brought in actually a lot of good players. Tom Cleverley played decently for them. He was useful in a lot of games.
He was a sub.
Kiko Firmino was free and played
Had
fine,
injury troubles,
but he was still decent for free. That's a good value.
Yeah.
Will Hughes was fantastic when he was healthy.
Yeah.
Of course, he had that huge injury at about week 10, something like that.
I don't know. As soon as he broke into the first team, he got injured badly.
He was good though. Chalobah did not play like at all.
He was fine when he played. No,
Yeah.
he got hurt. He had a season-ending injury.
Okay. Well, I don't know that much about
Yeah.
Watford. Richarlison was great at the beginning of the season, and then
I think it was Silva. I think he found his niche with Marco Silva, and then when Silva left, he fell off. I don't think it was a coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's whatever. He was fine. Andre Gray was like borderline useless. He didn't play at all.
Yeah.
Kind of a waste of.
I mean, he
played,
played, but he played not well.
Yeah, and then you got Ziegler, who was actually good. I think he was injured though.
He
looked
got
good when I
forced
saw him
out. He
play.
got a red card and then got forced out of the team.
Right. He looked good when I saw him play though. Obviously, they brought in a lot of big loans. Actually, they brought in Carrillo from Benfica. He was.
Oh, he was alone?
Yeah, he's alone.
I didn't know that.
They brought in Carnesis. Christ.
Yeah. He
Gonna have to
was
Photoshop
good.
an
He
image.
replaced Aurelio at the end of the season, and he was solid.
Yeah. Yeah, he was good. Delafeu didn't play really at all.
Well, the three games he played when he first came in, he was really good, and then he came back. When he came back from his injury, he was god awful. So balances out.
Whatever. You go to Brighton now. They were fine. They brought in. We'll just go quickly now because we are. This is a long episode.
Brighton
Gross, fantastic. Matthew Ryan, fantastic. Suttner was okay. Proper was not.
Proper started most games.
Izquierdo was fine. Shalado was fine.
Izquierdo was kind of a failure.
Cruel didn't play very much.
Cruel didn't play.
Izzy Brown didn't play. Ulloa didn't really play.
He scored a goal though.
Yeah, but whatever. Moving down to Huddersfield, Kachunga for the price, very good. Depoitre was decent at times.
Kachunga was on loan for them last season as well.
Yeah. Moy was obviously a good transfer. It was pretty obvious that was going to happen. Tommins was good. Wow, they really transferred in a lot of their team. Danny Williams didn't play much. Mounier was fine. Kind of a failure, honestly, actually, if you think about it, because of the injuries.
I remember he scored a brace against Palace in the first game, and then did little else.
I mean, they didn't bring in very much. Alex Pritchard played a little bit.
Pritchard was actually very good at the end of the season.
Lussell was a good.
Lussell was also good.
That was a good loan in.
He had like 3 penalties.
Casey Palmer played pretty well for them in the few games I saw. He was injured a little bit though. Kangolo was also loaned in. I mean, they loaned a lot. They brought in a lot of their team from this year, and it probably kept them up.
We'll see. I don't know if they stay up next year. Really,
I seriously doubt it.
I mean, with the caliber of the teams coming up, Wolves is staying up.
Yeah.
Cardiff, I don't know. I don't know a ton about Cardiff, but they seem like they're in good shape. And then Fulham probably will go back down,
but Sessegnon will then leave. But yeah, moving down, Southampton, they brought in Lamina, who was 16 million, kind of flop-ish, but not like horrible, I guess. Hoot was actually decent. Guido Carrillo was expensive, but also not like horrible. So, I mean, there's not much to say about Southampton. They didn't do much in the transfer window. They didn't lose a bunch of players.
Swansea brought in Bonnie.
They brought in Roque Mesa.
Roque Mesa was a flop.
Huge flop. Supposed to be good and just went straight back.
I think he was probably just England. No, he went to like Sevilla or something.
Sevilla, whatever. He went.
It's probably just because he came to England and wasn't for him.
They brought in Kluke.
Ah yes, Sam Klukas, the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, he's fantastic player.
Love that man.
Just kidding.
He's beautiful.
He's beautiful.
Wish
Yeah.
I had his looks.
Bonnie was bad. Tammy Abraham was good. That was a good loan signing. Oh, remember Renato Sanchez?
Yeah.
From the Euro 2016, the youngster Renato Sanchez, who everyone was basically dick riding for like
Goal.
a really long time. Yeah, we scored again.
Yeah, no, and if you watched our last episode, there was a nice little clip of Renato Sanchez passing to the ad board.
He's a very good player.
It's a great pass, but wrong person.
Awful. Can I grade that transfer? Can I grade that transfer?
Sure.
F.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Stoke. They didn't have a bad transfer window. Darren Fletcher didn't play, did he, at all? But actually, he did play, didn't he?
They had a limited transfer window.
Yeah. They brought in Choupo-Moting, who was decent for them.
That
for
was
free.
That was crazy. Nobody expected him to be any good.
It was a free signing.
But he was.
Yeah. Martin Zindi was fine, not expensive, so he was
solid.
passable. Wimmer was bad, I think. I believe he was pretty bad. And then Dye was also bad. They didn't do too great. They brought in Kurt Zouma on loan from Chelsea. He was bad.
They made the World Cup team.
Yeah, somehow. Hesse Rodriguez was brought in from PSG.
Well, yeah, and he had some like personal issues,
Yeah,
and so he had to miss a lot of games.
Yeah.
Something with his child, I don't know, but that was unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, he played pretty well in what I saw though. He did well against Arsenal. I remember
West Brom, Jay Rodriguez was a great transfer.
Yeah, that was a great transfer.
That's about the only thing they had going for him.
I did not realize they transferred in a Chinese player for £7 million.
Yeah.
Wow,
Gareth Barry.
Gareth Barry's £1 million, so I mean you can't really complain about his quality. They brought in Kieran. Oh my God, Kieran Gibbs exists. I forgot he existed.
Yeah. Anyway,
he was bad.
They're only really actually.
Higazi, fantastic.
He was fine. He had at the beginning of the season he scored a couple goals.
No,
and,
other
was
than that,
right.
no, he was a great ball winner. Did you watch many West Brom games? I don't blame you if you didn't, but
I watched a few, but I don't know. I don't think he was incredible.
Higazi
He was good. Probably one of their better players, but that doesn't say a whole ton.
Obviously, then you have Krychowiak, who is useless. Not useless, but not good.
He was fine. He wasn't what I mean. He wasn't a PSG quality player, that's for sure.
Daniel Sturridge was.
Sturridge got injured immediately.
Yeah.
I'm really glad they signed him instead of us.
So, because the season has been over for a little while, there aren't really too many games to talk about. You've got Fulham getting promoted to the Premier League. They beat Aston Villa 1-0 in the playoff final off a goal from, I believe it was
Tom Kearney. He's finally in the Premier League.
Yeah, took him a little while, but he's finally there. Mitrovic is probably, well, not probably, but he's got a decent chance of Fulham keeping him on because he played really well.
He's not going to be at Newcastle next season because Rafa won't play him, and he's just going to have to leave.
Yeah.
Hope he goes to Fulham. It would be really fun to see him in the Premier League again.
Yeah. And you got Sessegnon, obviously, probably staying at Fulham for at least another year.
When last season when they lost in the playoffs, he signed a new contract and said he wasn't leaving.
I mean, but he wasn't as good as he was.
That's true, but he was still very good.
The fact he didn't get called up for England is a travesty.
Yeah, but
it's a freaking travesty.
Basically, I hope he's one of those very rare loyal players that still exist.
I don't blame players like Lukaku for leaving their clubs and going to big clubs, though.
But
at some point
it'd
you've
be
got
a
to
cool
leave.
Story.
You've got to leave behind. No, but at some point you've got to leave behind the small clubs so you can actually, if you really have the quality to be a world class player.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't, that you necessarily shouldn't, but it's just it's fun. It's good to see. I like to see players stay for a while.
I'm indifferent on it.
Okay.
The other game that happened, other than Wolfsburg managing to stay up against Holstein Kiel, winning 4-1 on aggregate, the other game that happened obviously was the Champions League final. I mean, Liverpool fans are going to go on and on about how Salah got injured and whatever.
It was a fun game.
It was probably one of the better Champions League finals we've seen in recent memory.
Better than last year.
Last year sucked. I mean, Bale scored that incredible bike.
That was
crazy.
Have
a clip of that. That Ramos made on Salah. Everyone can say whatever they want about Sergio Ramos being a dirty player, and I mean he is a dirty player, but like he had no intent to injure Salah in that. That's
I never saw the tackle, but
it's a ridiculous thing to say that he would. Obviously, Gareth Bale played fantastic, and you got to bring into question his future at Madrid. He's probably almost surely leaving. Honestly, he's been linked to Man U pretty heavily. That would be good for them. That would be very good for them.
That would be very good.
He's a very high quality player. Obviously, because Salah hurt his shoulder, I'm pretty sure he's questionable. For
No. He's gonna be good according to him and the.
Well, yeah, but he obviously has to be optimistic, so we don't know for a fact that he'll be helpful.
But I mean, he'll probably be back at least for the end of it. Well, he'll probably his team gets eliminated. Whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I talk without thinking.
Yeah. We should probably wrap this episode up.
Yeah,
though, because
that'll be about it.
Over 50 minutes at this point, and we have the U.S. game to go watch. So, thank you guys for watching. We will be giving our full World Cup predictions next episode, and it'll be a very similar style to this.
Probably won't run quite as long.
Probably won't run quite as long. It's our World Cup bonanza. It's the big World Cup final.
We got to do some research on these teams we know nothing about. Like
I know a lot about them.
Tunisia, Iran, Saudi Arabia,
Morocco.
Peru, Panama,
I always
etc.
forget Morocco.
Morocco.
Yeah. But yeah.
Oh.
I think we might have just scored another goal.
Anyway.
So, thank you guys for watching the Birds with Guns podcast. This is Eli, and that's Andy.
I'm Andy.
We're signing out.
See you later. Bye.